That's Jock Peterson right there on the Chris Rose Rotation podcast. He said it was a kick in the nuts. At least he didn't say it was a slap in the face. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Am I right?
Come on, Chris. Am I right? Right?
That would have been good. That would have been good. I would have done that in a second.
Right. So you talked to Jock Peterson and Logan Webb about all this offseason. What else did you take away?
Probably the number one thing is just how disappointed they were with how things went last year. You know, we discussed a lot about Judge and Correa, and the Judge stuff was wacky just because it was 7 minutes. The Correa stuff was more they were minutes away from a press conference, right? They both talked about how not only they talked to Correa extensively, but wives were talking to one another too.
Yeah.
Like when it gets to that point, you're thinking, okay, done deal. But they had to regroup and realize that they picked up some guys that can definitely help them improve on a 500 season. It's not going to be a 107-win team, but I think that if they stay healthy, particularly these older guys, I mean, I'm not just talking about Crawford, but new guys like Mitch Haniger's got to stay healthy because he's productive when he's out there. Some guys on the mound. And if they do, they're going to have a shot at a wild card, I think.
Yeah, it feels like everyone has a shot at a wild card now in this new playoff format. But before we delve too deeply into that, let's talk about all these rule changes, Chris. Of all the rule changes with no more multiple disengagements and bigger bases and a pitch clock and the shift is banned and all the rest of it, which one are you most excited about and which one kind of bothers you the most?
I'll be curious to see how the shift works because you can still, there's no slice of the pie behind second base that still would prevent a shortstop or second baseman from being directly behind the bag, I believe. So, you can still hit a rocket up the middle and shortstop might not have to move. But I am looking forward to seeing what the shift does for some guys. I'm a big fan of getting athleticism in the game on both sides of the ball. I like seeing shortstops making diving plays, and too often we're seeing guys just stand and a laser get hit right at them. So I'm excited about that. The one I just do not get is the pickoff rule. You can throw twice over to first base, try and pick them off. But if you throw a third time and it's unsuccessful, the runner gets 90 feet. To me, that one just doesn't make sense. I'm okay with everything else. I'm okay with the bigger bag. Although I heard we had TK Hernandez on the Rose rotation, and he said he had some experience on a rehab assignment or something with the bigger bases, and he said they're like puffy in the middle so guys are going to have a hard time staying on them. He thinks. For a little while, but this pickoff rule, I don't get it at all. I don't get it at all. If you got a guy who doesn't have a great move, does that mean you're going to have guys with John Lester type 30-foot leads?
Right.
I mean, it's just bizarre to me.
Chris Rose is with us, NFL Network, and we'll get to some NFL stuff in a sec. But as he's mentioned, the Chris Rose Rotation podcast, Baseball Today, John Boy Media, which is always really good digital content. One more from your Chris Rose Rotation podcast, Chris, from Jock Peterson. This one specific to the Correa experience.
It was a bad dream. I don't know, but I feel bad for Carlos. To have to go through all that in the week or whatever he was with the Giants. I actually got to talk to him on the phone, and it's just a real stand-up guy, leader, you could tell, and he had one motivation to win, and I really respect that. So I hope the best for him. Now Logan's going to have to punch his ticket on the way out.
I mean, I wonder how you feel like that experience will affect this team and the conversations that happened with Brandon Crawford, who now goes back to shortstop. Do you think there will be residue when we get to the season?
No, I don't think so. I think that's a bigger story for fans and for us than it is for players for the most part. I mean, Brandon Crawford's been around this game an awfully long time, and yes, he has accomplished a tremendous amount here in San Francisco. But if you're honest with yourself, I mean, come on, Carlos Correa is arguably the best defender in the sport, and we know what he does offensively when he's out there. I mean, why wouldn't you want him on your team? You know, he's a really, really good baseball player. And people could say, well, because of what happened in Houston, and that's fine. Most players, not all of them, would be like, yeah, come on in. Let's go. They're not going to say, I couldn't play with that guy. I really don't think that that's the way it is for the most part. So I don't think that there's fences that need mending here. I would hope that Gabe and Farhan sat down with Brandon Crawford and talked to him throughout this entire process, and that, you know, we'll find out shortly once Brandon's available through the media. But I think, you know, like I said, I think the Giants picked up some really solid baseball players. So I think they're going to be in this thing, not for the division, because I think that's left for the Dodgers and Padres, as little as people want to hear that up in the Bay Area. But I do think the Giants will play for 5 and 6.
Yeah, and once you get in, you never know what can happen in the postseason. Chris, at what point do the Giants and Mets get vindicated on the Carlos Correa conundrum? If Correa is hurt after 3 or 4 years, can they then say, see, we told you so?
Not necessarily. You know, that's a tough one. Right. I do understand it. I really do understand it from the Giants' standpoint. You're investing 13 years in a guy. You want him to at least be available as a first baseman later in his career, or a DH. We know he's not going to play shortstop for 13 years. Like, we get that if we sign him to that deal. But you need him somewhere. And I understand it. Anything over 6 or 7 years, I think, would be a little scary. So I get that. But I also understand what Jock and Logan were both saying to me about that. They felt badly that Correa's kind of medical history got dragged through. I mean, that's not supposed to happen. And so now we all look at him and we're all kind of saying, okay, well, when's he going to break down? And that's kind of tough going for him.
Chris Rose, NFL Network also. What's your take on Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers, shuffling of the deck, Jimmy Garoppolo? Like, give me a little something on where you think these guys are going to end up.
I think Derek Carr could end up in the NFC South somewhere. I really do. I think that if he's smart about this, that's where he goes. It is definitely the weaker conference. There's no question about that. So his ability could just turn a team around, I think, a little bit. Rodgers is interesting. What are we now? Maybe 12 hours? 12 hours into darkness?
Darkness retreat, yeah.
Yeah, is that what we're in?
Are the lights on where you are, Chris, or are you?
And is anyone home?
Are you sitting in the dark?
Oddly enough, we have very much an open air house. I don't think we have one single light. So we would technically be in darkness right now, except that since it's 11:08 or something, or 11:11.
11:11.
Make a wish. Yeah. Then my wish is to not hear anything about Aaron Rodgers for like a week.
Right.
That's what my wish is. Tell everybody when you're ready. Like, I'm good. Just go tell the Packers what you want to do. If you want to play, if you don't want to play, if you want to get traded, good. I love watching Aaron Rodgers. He's easily one of my top 5 quarterbacks all time in terms of watchability. Like, I love watching him throw the football. He's just sensational. But the rest of it, you're like, okay, go do you. Go do your life, and just fine. I don't like it when everybody else has to wait on people. Whatever business you're in, I don't care what business you're in, when you are always making it sound like your time is more important than my time, had enough of that.
Yeah, and as Mr. Hand taught us in Fast Times, isn't it our time? If you're here and I'm here, isn't it our time, Mr. Hand?
It is our time.
It's incredible, Chris.
Right.
You're an old soul like me, and I appreciate that. Mark and I were having a debate over who the second best quarterback is in the NFC. Jalen Hurts, fine, you're number one. You're a Super Bowl representative QB, but considering the upheaval in the NFC, who would you put in the 2 spot, Chris?
That is a great question. So, I thought about this once Brady called it quits. Have you ever seen a division where you don't know who one quarterback is?
Right, never.
Not one. There's not one between the 4 teams. I'm like, wait, what's going on down there? I'm like, can we trade the Browns to the NFC South for just a year? Maybe we'll do something. That'd be great. My hometown team.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen. But,
boy, it's a stumper here.
but hold on. Well,
Hang in there.
You know what? I'll go Stafford.
Okay.
I'll go Stafford.
But
I think that's
right.
just because I can't put Rodgers in Green Bay still right now, even though he is, until he comes up with the all-important decision. I'm not going to put him there.
Mm-hmm.
And I still like Stafford over Cousins.
Ooh-wee.
And slightly over Dak, because I thought Dak just had a really poor year. He hasn't played this poorly before, in my opinion.
Well, and then, of course, Brock Purdy, too. I know you forgot that, but Brock Purdy also.
I love that story, man. I was so bummed. Listen, guys, we watch all the games together at NFL Network on days that we work on the Sunday. We were so excited for that game, and when he got hit, we just all looked at each other and we were like, oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nothing against Josh Johnson, but we were like, really? Like, this is what we're doing? And then he gets hurt. And it was such a bum. I felt terribly for you guys because not very easily, but I'm watching the Chiefs victory parade right now on NFL Network. This could be through the streets of San Francisco.
Yep.
It just could be. And I know that that's not what you guys want to hear, but that team is awesome. They're my second favorite team to watch. Well, they might even be a better team to watch than my Browns just because the emotional heartstrings that are attached to every snap with that franchise. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they're tough. They got skill guys. They got defenders that can run. They hit hard. It's just, man, missed opportunity.
No, I think actually what you're saying is almost therapeutic, Chris, because, A, you're not a 49er fan, and you're seeing and expressing what 49er fans want to hear and are also feeling, which is that they didn't – it's not that they didn't get beat. They got robbed of an opportunity, and we as fans got robbed of an opportunity. If they'd gotten beat, they got beat. But, like, you want to play the game, and it doesn't feel like we even got to play the game. And I do think that a lot of us felt like there was a decent chance of a parade if they had been blessed with health.
Yeah, and listen, I don't want this to come off the wrong way because I don't think that the Eagles nor those fans should have to apologize for what happened.
Correct.
That what did happen to the two Niners quarterbacks on that day. Everybody said, we kind of forgot how good Philly was, and they were a really excellent team. But yeah, you do. We were all robbed as football fans. Like, who the hell? If there was a fifth quarterback available, that's what we would have been watching.
Right.
Go to the Super Bowl.
Right.
That's bizarre. That is so bizarre, and it stunk. I was upset because I love football. I love watching good teams compete, and that's what I wanted. And that's why I loved the way the season finished. I thought the Super Bowl was great. So good.
Yeah, great game. It was kind of like watching 30 years of Browns football with all the quarterbacks you guys have trotted out there.
You stop that.
It's
not because of injury. That's because of ineffectiveness.
We had such rapport going, and then you say that to Chris.
It was either a BattleBots question that nobody cares about, or I take a personal shot, and I chose the latter.
Okay. I willingly came on this show, by the way.
Right.
Right. Chris is the best. He gets the bit.
And then I'm gonna have to call my therapist after we're done now.
Man.
Can I send you guys the bill?
Please, I know a bunch of good ones if you need one, Chris. So anyway, thank you for willingly coming on the show, and we hope that you will again.
I absolutely will possibly think about it.
All right, thank
you. You're the best.
Thanks, Chris.